Welcome to Relationships at Work, the leadership guide to creating a workplace we love. I'm your host, Russel Lolacher, a communications and leadership nerd with a couple of decades of experience in both those areas and a whole heap of curiosity on how we can lead and work together to improve the workplace. This show is a great resource to help us with that. Every week on the show, I talk with a local or global leader on topics that are here to help you improve the workplace. We've tackled so many topics. Culture renovation, negativity, mental health, activism, burnout, empathy, communication, buy-in. So many topics. I think we've got a lot more to talk about, which continues with this episode. It's an added episode. Now, every Thursday, I share an additional episode pulled from the pages of our weekly Raw Note, which you can still subscribe to that newsletter. Just go to my website, relationshipsatwork.ca. It's just a quick and valuable bit of information on top of our regular show, under 10 minutes, rapid fire, real quick, maybe a mindset shift to help you start your day, start your week, start your career. I don't know. I'm just here to help. So the raw note I'm passing on to you this week is called The Application is the First Impression. When organizations, when leadership first starts discussing the employee experience, the employee journey, where do they typically begin? Onboarding? That first performance review? Or maybe they don't discuss the journey or experience at all for employees. Okay, let's assume they at least talk about it. I want to be optimistic. Okay, so assuming that they do, onboarding is usually the answer. Onboarding is usually where most will point to when they talk about the beginning of the employee journey. But the problem is most organizations are actually missing a huge opportunity by doing that. We often miss where employees and prospective employees really start their interaction with the organization. And that is in the application and hiring experience. That right there is actually the beginning of their journey. For good or for bad, when someone applies to work for us, that's when they get the sense of how organized, considerate, proactive, reactive we are as a company. Before anyone sits down on day one in a cubicle or at their computer at home, they already have an impression on how much you care about them and their time, which of course gives them an impression of what it's like to work for us. Let's take that one step in the journey, the resume submission, just as an example. How easy is the website to navigate? Is it clear as to what is needed from the applicant? How clear is the job description? How quickly and patiently are applicants responded to for any questions they might have as they submit their resume or CV? This doesn't even get into the thoughtfulness and compassion of the hiring panel, or how they are informed when they get the job, or if they are informed at all if they don't. And what is the tone of that response? Does it encourage them to apply again? Career Builder did a study that found that 60% of job seekers reported quitting an online application process because it was too long or complicated. Ouch. How many great applicants, how many great employees are we missing out on because our first impression is so disappointing? This kind of experience flavors everything for those who won the competition and also flavors the word of mouth for those who don't win that competition. So let's do better. Through the whole process, let's do better. An upcoming guest of the podcast, Joey Coleman, wrote in his book, How to Never Lose an Employee Again, you must demonstrate what their life will be like as an employee when he's talking about the hiring and application process. Joey does a great job in the book. He digs right into those areas that we need to focus on. For example, job postings need to be transparent about the expectations. The application process should be really easy. Pre-screening should be more about fit than skills, which you can teach later. The interview should be more about getting to know the candidate as a person, their personality, nature, temperament, which is way more valuable than a series of canned answers to familiar interview questions. If you haven't checked out Joey's book yet, I really recommend it, and really recommend his conversation with us. That's coming out quite a bit further down the line. But let's talk further about this hiring process. So here's a few things extra to flag and assess. Because maybe it's great. Maybe you're putting your best foot forward, but how do you know until you know? So first out of the gate, transparency. Are we making sure our job descriptions and titles are clear? Do they give the applicants confidence in what they are actually applying for? We have to make sure they have all the information they need, no surprises. Second, communication. Are we being clear, transparent, personalized, timely, kind? We have to treat applicants like individuals, not numbers, and respecting their time too. Applying for a job can be very vulnerable for applicants because they're really putting themselves out there. Maybe they're trying to get away from a bad situation in a former job, or maybe it's the next step in a career that they've been really excited about. Why would we want to make that experience worse for them? And another thing to review is feedback. It's so funny when somebody applies for a job and they don't get the job. What's the first bit of feedback that we tell them? Oh, you should reach out and get feedback from the organization. And that's great. That's fantastic advice. But why don't organizations ask applicants for feedback about their experience too? This can't be one way. The organizations need to reach out to applicants going, how did you find the process? Where did we fall down? Where did we do a great job? How could we do better? As organizations, how else can we get better at making those first impressions and meeting needs and expectations of applicants and future applicants? I love the idea of treating candidates like customers, like a relationship that we actually want to make, build, and maintain. So let's make that first impression in the employee experience a priority for our organizations and a positive one for applicants. We seem to care far too much about the experience for us, not for them. And that's never the best way to start any relationship. And I'm gonna steal a shampoo commercial slogan from the 80s. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. And that'll do it for another Raw Note episode of Relationships at Work, the leadership guide to creating a workplace we love. Again, I'm your host, Russel Lolacher. I always enjoy spending this time with you. If you have a moment and you've enjoyed the podcast, whether it's this episode or any of our 100+ episodes, I would really appreciate it if you take a moment and go to our ratings and review section on Apple or Spotify and give us a star, maybe 5 of them, preferably 5 of them, and a little write-up on why you find this podcast so valuable. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to talking to you again.